Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat, especially sa mga nanonood ng video natin via replay. Kami tayong mga questions sa community. So we have invited Pricelocq's founder and CEO, CTO, and head of product to help us understand how the application works and learn how it can benefit us, especially amidst oil price hikes na sobrang tindi, nakakapawis na tuloy-tuloy yung pagtaas, hindi lang piso, hindi lang 2 piso, umabot pa ng 12 pesos hanggang 14 pesos. So, hopefully by the end of the video, ma-figure out natin gaano ka-secure yung platform. And lalong-lalo na kung ikaw yung nakabili ng 600 liters over the past few weeks, thinking na, tuloy-tuloy natataas. First, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of our community members na nag-send ng mga questions natin. And I'd like to apologize in advance na not all your questions may be entertained, but definitely we have gathered the best questions possible para ma-address natin yung mga common concerns or questions ng community natin. Not only that, one of my colleagues from a trading platform would also like to sponsor one full tank, mga 50 to 60 liters, depende sa kotse na gagamitin nyo. And so, lagyan natin siya via GCash, tapos sa Pricelocq account niyo. And all you need to do is to scan the QR code, which will appear in anytime in the video. Hintayin nyo na lang, tapos scan nyo yung QR, and then follow them on social media. Hindi na natin patatagalin pa. It is my pleasure to introduce Pricelocq's founder and CEO, Mr. Mark Yu. Joining him would be their CTO, Mr. Kevin Antonio, and head of product as well, Ms. Cara Sulaiman. Thank you guys for your time.
Hi.
Alright, so sobrang tindi ng tagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina lately. And alam ko ito rin yung rason kung bakit nandito tayo ngayon, di ba? Ang dami kasing questions, pending posts sa community natin, and even ako, hindi ko siya kinakaya na bomba talaga ng mga questions. And sometimes I get to filter a lot of questions at the same time. And not only that, like talking about prices, forecast, and everything. And kakaiba tong Pricelocq na app, no? Kasi before, parang wala ka namang choice kung bibili ka ng gasolina anytime, pupunta ka doon, kakarga ka. And some guys would even store their fuel on, using a physical gas storage tank. And right now, it's already in the app. So it's very, very game changing siya. So yeah, Cara, Sir Mark, Sir Kevin, welcome to Pricelocq AMA session. So it's an Ask Me Anything session. We gathered all the questions from our community members. Tapos, sagot lang kayo kung sino yung the best person to answer our questions. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so I think right now, pinaka-basic naman daw, no? Sabi ng community member natin, what is Pricelocq?
Cara, go
Mark,
ahead.
you want to take that? Or, si Mark, para na. Sige.
Ang founder question yata yun.
Sige, well, Pricelocq is it's a mobile application, right? That allows consumers to buy fuel anytime, anywhere, and then load it later at the gas station. But beyond just fuel, our vision really is that it is an all-in-one mobile sort of marketplace. And so you would also see in the app that you can borrow money to refinance your vehicle or buy a second-hand car. We're also looking to do other partnerships with RFID, tollway companies, insurance, etc. And so, but from there, it's really the anchor product. The mindset is how do we empower consumers, right? To have, well, basically that, right? The power over fuel prices. And that was the goal. And I think I'm happy that a lot of consumers now understand the value of the product.
Of course. Ako personally, very helpful siya sa akin. I work from home. So, hindi naman siya yung talagang daily ako ng motorista. But on a weekend, I travel with my family. So, I get to, budget kung magkano yung gagastusin ko for the entire month. And right now, given the price volatility of the market, ng oil market, parang, I'm also a trader, I'm a crypto trader as well. So parang inisip ko, okay, if prices will go up, kamusta yung magiging budget namin ng family ko? So ako talaga personally, medyo matagal na rin ako nakabili din. So may mga na-store din ako na gasolina. And right now, nagagamit ko siya. So thank you very much for sharing what Pricelocq is. And you also mentioned there are also other products na you guys are offering like Global Dominion. Like, is that a financing company?
Oh. Kara, you want to answer that?
Yep. So they're a auto financing company that we're partnering with. So we give them leads, give to get add value to our price lock users.
Nice, nice. I can remember like my dad used to, like get a loan from Global Dominion kasi
Ah,
he's a
nice.
big fan of second-hand cars. And if you get a second-hand car kasi, most likely like financing companies talaga yung magpapautang sa'yo. What makes it different from like taking a loan physically and using the mobile app?
Well, the benefit of having leads from Pricelocq is alam mong motorista na kasi yung gumagamit eh. So, they're buying fuel for a vehicle. So, on Global Dominion's end, at least yung approval process for the leads that they receive from Pricelocq faster din since they know that these are motorists that are applying through Pricelocq.
All right, very nice, very well said. So sa mga nanonood natin ngayon, kung interested kayo na magkaroon ng like second-hand car, no, usually, sa app, pwede siyang gawin. Hindi mo na kailangan pumunta ng store mismo or sa auto mall to do the hassle kasi mahirap din yung ang haba pa ng mga pipir, mga susulatin mo physically. So I think that also helps minimize the efforts of our consumers as well. So that brings us to my next question. Sabi ng community member natin, sino ba yung mga founders ng Pricelocq? How did it start?
Uh, you know, how did it start? It was actually a conversation I was having with a friend. And at that time, there was a lot of talk about tokenization. And a lot of those tokens didn't really have an asset backed component to it. And so, what if we can actually do this? Um, and from there, the discussions evolved from sort of that tokenization concept all the way to really having a product that consumers can really use. And it again evolved with the idea that consumers always feel helpless, right? Pag pataas ang presyo, parang wala akong pwedeng gawin. Nabanggit mo nga na other people nagdadala ng gram, no, or certain things to store fuel. And what if we come up with something that allows consumers, right, to have that power? And so parang yun naman talaga ang vision ng technology, right? Technology is about democratization. And since the other hat that I wear, also running an oil company, is there, right? Then I have that years of experience, and I that's our goal is we really want to care for people, right? And this is one way for caring for them.
Nice. And you mentioned somehow with the like tokenization, parang pag a blockchain thing, and being affiliated with the CEO of a local exchange, crypto exchange. Can you share us more about like your business model, how the business model works? Is it more of
Yeah,
like a tokenized stuff, or yeah?
yeah. Well, I guess the question number two here is who are the founders, right? So actually, I just want to know. Kara joined us right from the start of Lock, and then Kevin joined us last year. And actually, we launched Pricelocq in the middle of the pandemic, actually, right smack June of 2020, and it's been quite a ride. Um, so I guess who wants to take this question? Paano ba gamitin? Kevin, you want to answer that?
Yeah, in terms of the tokenization, Tim, tama ba? So really, the way I would describe it is you're simply buying vouchers. You're buying fuel vouchers and you're simply redeeming them on a station. We don't really tokenize the fuel that you're buying right now. Tokenizing it meaning there's an equivalent physical fuel that we need to store relative to the inventory or the balances that our users have. But in terms of actually the transactions behind in a back end application, it's not really a blockchain technology. We're looking to move there, or at least we're still considering how we could utilize blockchain to actually provide more value to our consumers, and hopefully one day we could trade this as tokens. But for now, we are simply it's simply on a backend database wherein it's a transactional transactions lang. So much like how your e-commerce works, it's simply buying a goods and then just redeeming it.
In, in terms of the business model lang, so we partner with an oil company, which is Sea Oil, right? And it's based on a subscription model, wherein each participating station pays a monthly fee. And then from there, it's the oil company that then dictates the price that's going to be on the platform. Um, and yeah, in that regard, it's also the oil company that has the storage facility, right, to be able to support the purchase that a consumer buys on the app.
Yeah, you could probably treat this as another payment method lang. Much like how other payment methods charge the merchants, we also do the same.
Okay. Um, so very interesting that you mentioned like it works like vouchers, no? Kasi before I think Sea Oil has been offering that in the past na, no? Parang you can buy a voucher and then you can redeem it later. Parang it's the same concept. The only difference is that it's through the mobile app now, and of course
Exactly.
it looks
Yeah.
very savvy. Ang ganda ng app.
Uh,
Tapos hindi na siya parang sorry, pero parang dati kasi pag card lang, no one believes it's, reliable or credible.
medyo nakakamiss din, ano? Scratching something and then
Yeah.
putting over.
Na ngayon yan. Very na,
How
techy na
long ago
talaga.
was that, Mark, when Pricelocq really was
11,
incepted? 11 years
11,
ago.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yung pro part na yun, yung project na yun, phase out na siya or is it still ongoing?
We phased it out at that time kasi um, the world market now versus the local market, the difference is about a week na lang in terms of the when prices reflect locally. At that time, it was about 1 to 2 months. So talagang the price difference was big, and we knew when prices were going to go up, right? And now, as you see it, like although it's only 1 week, but it's become so volatile. Then na talagang mararamdaman mo yung value nung idea of locking.
Agree. You know,
Yeah.
I shared it with my friends. Lahat sila tinag nila ako sa Facebook kasi sobrang thankful sila sa app. So, I think opportunity ko to also share it directly sa inyo guys. So, mga nanonood ngayon, yung mga friends ko na nagtag sa akin, sila yung founders talaga ng Pricelocq. So,
Yeah.
nakakatawa. Meron may naisip lang ang question kanina kasi sabi ni Kevin, parang, okay, it's not tokenized, it's not registered on the blockchain yet. And as you know, like a lot of people right now are hooked in crypto. Na parang, okay, they find that transparency is there, ownership is also, a given thing na panatag ka, di ba? But can we still consider it safe if it's not registered on the blockchain?
Yes. I mean, it's really safe, and I'll give you, I guess, the following reasons, right? Number one, the oil company that we partnered with, Sea Oil, has about 400 million liters in terms of storage. At any given time, there's a minimum of about 200 million liters of fuel capacity. Also, its financial statements are freely accessible with the SEC. And over the past several years, it's been quite profitable. Even during the pandemic, while other oil companies were actually losing money because of its hedging expertise, it was able to protect itself from falling prices. So there, you can be assured that the company that you're dealing with is quite financially stable in that regards. So I mentioned 200 million liters is the fuel that's available, and right now we're still very far, right, in terms of really using that capacity up. So for every user, you're looking at 600 liters is the maximum, and there are really different types of users out there, right? There are those users who are really there for the savings. And yung sigurado ka talaga are the ones that are, okay, you buy now before the price increase, you buy enough for 1 week, and that's guaranteed, right? Your prices can move after that, but there's already that savings. And the majority of our users are like that. Now, you will also have some users who would really want to take a longer view. And that's actually a low percentage because that also requires a lot of capital. So there, for those who want to take a longer view, it's really important that they have the right set of information. And actually, one of our key mission is to educate our users, right? To equip them with as much information such that they can make their own decisions. Um, and actually, there's going to be a big price increase tomorrow. But I'd like to already say is next week, it's looking like it's going to do a may rollback, no? Yeah. And so I would caution people also not to really speculate because oil prices really are volatile, goes up and down. But there are certain things you can do na talagang makakasave ka. So our goal is to be as transparent as we can. Of course, we don't want to share proprietary information that will allow competitors, right, to do the same thing. But what you can be assured of is when you deposit funds in the wallet, there's a separate custodial account for that, which we don't touch with the local bank, one of the biggest ones. And then it's when you then convert that cash into buying fuel, that money is then converted and paid to our oil partner, which is Sea Oil, in that regard, right? And then the fuel there is then not physically set aside, but in the system set aside to know that that has been already sold. And in that sense, we do that matching. Now, if you fast forward, what if, let's say, 200 million liters
Yeah.
in the app, right? So there are many things that we can do, right? One is we can lower the inventory limit to a certain amount. The other is we can expand. Really, there's no reason why we can't expand the usage of our storage facility. You basically buy more fuel, right? And then you just store it. Now, let's just say in the Philippines, in terms of storage capacity, you're looking at a minimum of about 3 billion, 4 billion liters worth of storage capacity in the Philippines. Napakalaki niyan. Sabihin mo na ubusin na natin yan, the another layer there is you then enter a derivative transaction where you lock in the price with the biggest banks in the world, who then enter another derivative transaction with companies that store fuel out there. So, I think mahabang usapan yan. Pwede nating all night yan ang pag-usapan natin.
Mabuting
Yeah.
usapan.
I also like to highlight, no, team. I mean, a lot of people are actually buying, as you mentioned, maxing out the 600 liters. But not all of these people will actually redeem that 600 liters at the same time. So basically, we're just if they redeem that 600 liters, it's no different. Hindi, parang tulad na siya nung pumunta ka sa stasyon at kumuha ka ng drum at redeem mo siya lahat. No? So that's how we also parang see na I think it would be a bit impossible to actually run out of storage, ano? Because the demand would still be the same regardless if madami nang bumili ahead of time. So basically, when you still redeem the fuel, hindi naman nagbago yung behavior mo dahil bumili ka na ng 600 liters, di ba?
Yeah, very, very nice talking points, no? Especially ngayon, parang, ano eh, yun nga din sinishare ko sa kanila sa community, parang, if you think about it, hindi mo naman siya binibili nga talaga na 600 liters. Iuwi mo sa bahay, and definitely it's not safe to store fuel at home, no? So, from that point, naiintindihan nila na, okay, that can really make sense nga naman, kasi hindi naman kinukuha lahat. And I think also important na you guys also mentioned your risk management. Kasi especially that if you see that the prices tomorrow will go up, like by 10 or 12 pesos, it doesn't mean that it will go up exponentially in the coming weeks. There's a possibility it might also go down, since it's very volatile. And I also would like to commend the team, no? Kasi I can see that you guys are sharing weekly reports. I think forecast, if I'm not mistaken, daily or maybe every other day. To also share sa mga consumers natin, whether whether the market is going up possibly or not. So I think it's ano rin, one thing din that our viewers right now can look into kasi nare-receive ko din siya sa Facebook. Ah, hindi ko siya masyadong email na ginamit ko na. Pero baka, yes, do you guys also send it via email? Yeah, yeah. Sa
Yep, yep.
Facebook kasi tinignan ko eh. What else? I think it also makes sense in derivatives part, no? And some of our viewers may be trading derivatives on like trading platforms. But right now, this is a real use case of derivatives. Hindi lang siya sa trading platform na ginagamit mo sa laptop mo, di ba? In reality, like people also trade derivatives like commodities, which is perfect example yung oil nga naman. And yeah, I think it's a matter of forecasting, di ba? And yeah, another takeaway, financial statements are also freely accessible through SEC. Sea oil siya. So if people
Yeah.
are really speculating whether, nakakatakot na yung nangyayari, it can be accessed via SEC.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nice, nice. We're learning kasi right now, 'di ba, parang iniisip mo, bibili ka lang naman sa mobile app eh. Baka kasi iniisip ng iba, pag dumating yung time, wala silang mare-redeem. So I think I also understand their part din, no. Parang like personally, ako kung medyo wala akong idea talaga sa fintech part, parang I would also be hesitant. That's why my community nakakatuwa kasi nakakapag-usap about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I will skip yung fourth question kasi I think na-answer naman na yung tungkol sa tokenization part. But I think this is also a very good question. No? Number 5, in terms of reliability and scalability, ano-ano yung measures that you have in place to make sure that the app won't be a source of inconvenience sa mga consumers natin?
Sige.
Ayan,
Maybe I could take that.
Oh.
In terms of tech, I mean, I guess the proof is in the pudding. And basically, the surge of our users came in last week, and that was our all-time record for the past 2 years that we've been working this business. And I think it goes to show na there is no slowdown, there is no outage of our system. What we're working on actually is the physical aspect of our business, making sure that when our customers redeem, everyone is prepared on accepting those transactions. The QR codes are there, the stations are well trained and all. But with regard to technical capability of the system, I think we processed millions and millions of transactions last week alone, and that was, I think, 3 or 4 times our transactions back in February, and
All-time
we're
high,
not
no?
even done yet for March. Yeah.
Grabe. Kita ko din eh, like sobrang exponential ng growth ng community. Parang nagulat ako parang kasi may mga questions yun eh, membership questions. So syempre iniisa-isa mo yun dati. So I had to activate admin assist yung feature diba sa Facebook groups. Kasi if you don't do that, you'll get a lot of users. You have to accept them one by one. So sabi ko, yung admin assist na lang, they need to really agree to the group rules. So yeah. On the point na in terms of scalability, yun din kasi yung madalas na question nila, no? What if marami na talagang users na gumagamit at the same time, hindi na siya maging reliable? So I think that nasagot naman yung question na yan. Sorry, this medyo techie lang to, pero baka yung iba nating viewers medyo techie din. Is it registered on like AWS para just to make sure na it's
Sige.
scalable, no?
For our tech
Oo.
audience. So we are actually deployed in AWS, and we are using serverless technology. So traditionally, what you do is you actually rent a server in the cloud, but now the trend is you actually don't rent, but you actually pay for the computing power every time a transaction is going through your system. We are also on a relational database. We are using MySQL with that. And for our backend technology, we are using Node.js together with the Nest.js framework. And for our front end, we are using React.js. So if there are any developers out there looking for a
There you go.
challenge, looking for an exciting product, let us know.
Yeah, marami akong actually may friend din ako na dev din. I think tatlo sila. Or sila developers. They try using Pricelocq. No? Tapos, hindi yung mga question nila eh. Parang, okay, like, baka alam naman nila kasi potentially baka mag-down yung system kapag hindi well
Mhm.
developed yung architecture nga technology. So, good to know, good to know.
Oh, last week pinag-usapan namin yun eh. Pero just to add to Kevin's point, hindi lang tech, we're growing fast, so we need help in marketing, in product, in
Yes.
customer service.
Operations.
As you grow, no, like,
Yeah,
magkakaroon ng mga bottlenecks. Eh.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So,
kung, punta kayo sa Pricelocq Facebook page nila, baka may hiring or
Yep.
maybe
yeah,
LinkedIn or, yeah. So, there.
yeah.
So, etong question naman nito, I think I have to skip this one as well kasi nasagot na kanina. Pero baka lang may thoughts kayo, are consumers protected in case shortage in supply happens? Like right now, di ba parang sinasabi nila, Ukraine, Russia, may gera. Baka mas kulang yung nakukuhaan natin na langis from other countries. Your
Yeah.
thoughts?
So my thoughts are the first thing that would I know is you want to control or you want to be able to give the benefit to as many as possible, right? So what I would do then is the disruptions naman when this happens, it's not going to last a few months, right? These are short disruptions in supply. And so I would lower the limits in terms of inventory, such that more and more people can actually avail and ensure that they have their own supply, right? But globally, kasi, and this is where geopolitics comes in. This is now relationships of countries with oil-producing countries are very important. They're going to ask these other oil-producing countries to ramp up their production to ensure that they can replace what is, for example, in Russia, what is being lost from the supply out of Russia. And then it will just take some time for it to be transported, right, through different trade routes globally to get here. But definitely for these other oil producing nations right now, given where oil prices are, they're definitely looking to pump more because they want to take advantage of the higher oil price, which is also what will eventually cause it to go down. And
Yeah.
so during the 2020, when prices became actually negative pa nga sa ibang lugar, a lot of these shale, what they call refineries, were shut down. And so those are easy naman, relatively. I mean, it still takes a long time to reopen that refinery or not refinery, then oil production. But yeah, that's what will happen. It just finds a way to sort of rebalance over time. But ang key thing is, from our standpoint, we want to protect the end consumers first. They're really the ones that consume fuel and need it versus the speculation. So what we'll most likely do is control speculation and focus on the end consumers.
I see. It's very interesting is naman at rebalancing, no? Kasi most
Mm.
people would think na because of the war, mawawalan ng source of oil yung mga like us, di ba?
Mm.
I also saw an SMS before that most of your oil, or not really most, parang kung nag-i-import din kayo ng langis from South Korea, Japan, and what's the other one? South
Singapore.
Korea, Japan, Singapore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so does that mean na parang, okay, if yun yung majority na pinagkukuha nyo ng langis, even if ganun yung nangyayari sa Russia, that explains why hindi naman ganun ka-exponential yung presyo ng langis sa sea oil or sa price stock.
Yeah. And so Singapore is actually the oil trading hub in the region. And what happens is a lot of the crude oil goes there and then it gets refined and then it gets stored there. Korea has the best actually refiner in terms of what they call Nelson Index. And they source their crude from a lot of different sources. Like Singapore, you source that from Middle Eastern, no? Which we know, right? There's a lot of oil in Middle East. They say cheaper pa nga doon ang oil kesa sa tubig eh. Um, so in that sense, it's also good that we have a diversified source of fuel that come from the best refineries in the world.
Alright, so sa mga nanonood ngayon, huwag kayo masyadong kabahan kasi hindi lang naman Russia yung kumbaga yung mapagkukuhaan natin ng langis. There are also other sources of oil din. So, good to hear from you guys kasi ito rin, like, yeah, as you mentioned, speculations, ang dami mong maririnig sa community na, grabe, dahil sa gera, tataas ang todo. So, yeah, that explains it. So much for the, like, back-end stuff, yung mobile app itself, how does it work? But we want to talk about quality naman ng gasoline. Kasi right now, I think marami rin nagtatanong who are also trying to consider like sea oil or, through Pricelocq. In terms of quality, what can you say to those people who feel hesitant up to this point? Kasi hindi nyo daw sinusuportahan yung Big Four.
Yeah. So as this full disclosure, right? I come from Sea Oil, right? And our cars all gas up there, and I'm very confident with the quality of fuel that we have. And in fact, our family comes from a line of chemical engineers, people in chemistry, and all of that. So in terms of, as mentioned, quality-wise, imported from the top nations in the region, we test the fuel 3 times a day. And not only that, but additives, we have STP as additives. And I will guarantee you that nothing will happen to your vehicle. In the unlikely, na meron, palitan natin, no, ng bago. But I'm really, I'm really confident with the quality of the product that we have partnered with.
Personally, I also use sea oil. Like, kasi sa family namin, to be honest, kung ano yung very convenient sa malapit, doon kami, hindi naman yung pupunta pa kami ng Big Four para lang, kasi, like, they're Big Four. And so far, like, since 2014, yeah, lahat ng kotse namin, of course, hindi man lagi sea oil talaga, no? Pero may madalas sea oil yung ginagamit namin, eh. Diesel tsaka gas. And after this point, wala naman nangyari sa kotse namin. I think, personally, no, medyo, uzi rin kasi ako sa kotse. Parang, I think what really matters, yung gaano ka-condition yung kotse mo, eh. Hindi naman talaga yung sa gasolina itself. Like, of course, transmission fluid and all that.
Yeah. Actually, sea oil also has 105 octane fuel. And it's the only oil company that has that. But that one is only for really the racing cars, because that is a 85% blend of ethanol. So in terms of an array of products, there's really that know-how of how to deliver products. The focus really has been on expanding to more and more retail outlets, right? Because at the end of the day, if you do have great products, if people can't get to it, then what's the point, right? So continuously finding prime locations over the years, moving forward then, no? And that's the key. And of course, as mentioned, right, improving sort of that quality of service at the station level.
Kita ko nga ang dami ng sea oil na bagong tinayo, eh. Kaya Cavite kasi ako, eh. So, nakita ko yung sa Centennial. Parang ilang sea oil yung madadaanan mo sa area. Tapos sa bandang Anabu naman, dire-diretso ka Ponte sa may Daang Hari, yung intersection na yun. Meron din ulit sea oil. I'm just not sure if may Pricelocq doon, pero very, ang dami niya na, hindi na siya yung dati na parang kailangan mo talagang dayuhin medyo malayo. So, it's a good news na. And medyo naisip ko lang, no, kasi may mga questions din sa community natin na minsan bumibili sila na, siguro preferred talaga nila either 95 or 97. So, uzi sila sa gasolina. There were times na bumili sila ng either 95 or 97, pero pagpunta nila sa station, hindi siya available. How do you plan to, is this something that you will address soon na parang kumpleto siya lagi?
I think that's perfect for Gara.
Yeah. As a general guideline, what's available in Metro Manila is yung Gas 97. As outside of Metro Manila, that's gas 95. So currently, we acknowledge na nakakalito siya, nakita mo siya lahat in the app. So we'll have UI improvements there to constantly remind them na ideal that you check yung station na pupuntahan mo to check kung ano yung gas na dapat bibilin mo. But to accommodate din na alam kong madaming nagkakamali nga nung octane level na binibili, we can also convert it. So reach out to our customer support channels. We will accommodate conversion requests naman.
Nice.
And when we convert the products from 95 to 97 and 97 to 95, we're gonna base it from the date that you bought your fuel. So don't worry if you had the discounted price before, the price was during a low price. You'll convert it at that date naman.
Perfect yan. Kasi tanong nga yan kanina. Parang, okay, what if i-convert ko siya? Do we follow prices, in the past, or is it at the current market price? So, tama naman yung sinagot ko sa kanya. So, chamba yan. Tama naman. But yeah, you mentioned nga, outside Metro Manila, ang priority or parang standard will be 95.
Yep.
And then within Metro Manila is 97, which I think, kasi last time, nagkarga nga ako ng 97. Punta ako ng Anabu, wala siyang 97. So I had to go to Buhay na Tubig sa Imus din, Imus sa Cavite rin, para lang makarga ko yung 97. So from then on, bumili na rin ako ng 95 para just in case sana ako maging convenient nasan ako makarga ko. Alright.
Yeah. We wanted to offer all products kasi nga yun nga, may mga taong bumabiyahe. So may mga taong lumalabas na ng Metro Manila. So we made all grades available in the app.
Bago ko mag-proceed sa next question, tungkol sa, ito, medyo funny yung question na to. Ito sa baha. Pero may lang isang i-follow up doon, no? Kasi yung diesel, sabi nila, meron sa ibang brand, ibang gas stations, merong turbo. Sa sea oil daw kasi wala, parang exceed lang, or diesel, isang option. Your thoughts about that? Like, maybe, baka sisip kasi na baka mahina mahinang klase.
Yeah. We can actually easily come up with that. Ang question kasi niyan, kailangan mong magbaon ng bagong underground storage tank eh. And then you have to line that pipe all the way to the pump. And so the investment there is also significant. So from that standpoint, I guess in terms of the demand, that will be evaluated. But if you look at other countries, Ren, and developed countries, for and I would quote muna gasoline, no? Like the highest octane rating for them is like 91. And the ones that really can benefit, and I use that term, no, from 95, 97, are the sports cars. Because mas efficient yung kanyang combustion. But if you are, for more on a day-to-day use, you actually won't need that high of an octane rating. So similar concept with diesel is sometimes you're not able to sayang rin because your vehicle's not able to maximize that higher sort of quality type of fuel. But yeah, it's definitely something that can be done. It's just basically having to add, and that's the same with the 95 and 97. But hearing that there are a lot of people who want to be able to choose between the new stations that we're building. I'm gonna make sure na apat na yan, no, na at the very least. Yeah.
Airpods ko kasi diesel sa kanya.
Okay.
Yun lang yung option eh. Sabi niya, paano yung, wala ba yung turbo? Sabi ko, pares lang yan. Pero yan.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is funny, no? Sabi nila, ang question is, totoo po ba kapag bahain yung lugar, mas madumi yung gasolina? Kasi may mga locations po na binabaha ang area. May fuel stations. So,
yeah. Hindi totoo yun. And we actually check the fuel 3 times a day, right, to ensure that there's no water content. So the seal is really crucial, right? The underground storage tanks. Anyan, talagang it's the tightness of the seal is really important. Yung nagka-audit din, actually I mean, it's sad to say, right? There was a lot of devastation in different parts of the
Mhm.
country, but we were there. I mean, servicing, no, our stations were actually the ones that were left standing and servicing. We ensured that there's an ample fuel supply in those areas. So definitely, and uh, in the very, very, I guess, instance na somehow may nangyari doon, we replaced the fuel in the underground tanks. We drain it completely, and then what you call is you backhaul it, no, and then you clean that up, so to speak, right, and then you replace it with the fuel that's talagang walang effect nung nangyari, no.
I see. So hindi siya talaga nasasayang lang. May way pa
No,
din to
yeah,
okay.
there's way pa rin. Oo.
Smart move. Okay, so clear na sa inyo sa mga nanonood na hindi totoo yung gano'n. Kasi
Mm.
parang weird naman. Siyempre, di naman nila gagawin na parang mapupunta lang sa wala yung ini-store nila na gasolina sa ilalim. No? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Heard that from the CEO. Okay, clear. Ito, question naman, ito, hindi ko rin siya nasagot kasi medyo mahirap to and I want you guys to answer this. Sabi niya, is Pricelocq regulated by any institutions like DOE, DTI, or BSP? And to add here, ang question niya kasi doon, what if may mangyari, a bankrupt, anybody can just, Pricelocq can just declare bankruptcy anytime, and what happens with my money?
Yeah, so we are registered with the SEC. Since we're, as Kevin mentioned earlier, right, more of a payment sort of a way to pay, right, for fuel. We're actually looking to work with the BSP because we want to expand our offering as well. And so in the future, we will have that license with the BSP. The other thing, I guess, that I would like to note, I mean, if you buy gift certificates, right, from a mall, it's the same thing, right? They're not really regulated in that sense when you buy gift certificates. So when you think about it, it's really like that, right? When you buy gift certificates, what assurance do you have that you can use that gift certificate with that sort of establishment? So I guess what I've just mentioned earlier, it's really that there is ample storage out there. You can get the financials. Actually, sea oil is one of the lowest in terms of leverage, in terms of debt to equity ratio and debt to EBITDA amongst all oil companies. Kumbaga, wala siyang masyadong, at least from a term loan, no, standpoint, walang masyadong utang. And I guess that's a different discussion altogether in terms of optimal sort of capitalization. Then, but yeah, pang ibang ano na yan, ibang topic.
Yeah. Parang yun nga, going back dun sa ano, no, I think nagpa-matter din talaga with this kind of business, yung expertise ng, team behind. Especially,
Mm,
like, if
mm,
someone na may idea talaga sa derivatives, kasi doon
mm.
ka magkakaproblema eh. Pag walang expertise, possible talaga yung ganong klaseng risk. And I don't think naman na you guys will go that far kung walang expertise.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know,
Mark, rest of you guys.
I actually nagturo rin ako sa one of the schools ng derivatives, no. And na-mention ko rin earlier that I got my CFA, or Chartered Financial Analyst designation, which that's where I learned how to, I guess, what derivatives are, and then just through years of experience dealing with it, just to hone the skill necessary. The other thing to give confidence is Sea Oil is actually partially owned by the largest oil company in Australia. And through that sort of partnership, it's got a solid footing, really, in terms of that creditworthiness.
Yeah.
Yan.
Also, I'd like to add, no, team, with regards to being bankrupt and all. I mean, ngayon pa ba na marami ang suporta ng community? Ay, ngayon pa ba
Yeah.
kami mababankrupt, di ba? I wouldn't you think that we were actually moving towards this direction as well? And siguro, mas mabankrupt kami kung nawalan ng support, or that the traction that we are getting now is actually low. So this was something that was, I guess, preemptively planned for, and with the expertise of Mark in terms of hedging. I think he already basically expected the amount of inventory that we would need to hedge, etc.
Yan. So, yan. Dito tayo. I think right now, as we speak, 6,800 members, and literally every minute may na-receive ako ng mga member request. So, grabe. And I think it will really grow exponentially pa, especially yung tuloy-tuloy yung pagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina. So, yun. Ang dami nag-i-invite eh. Yung friends nila. I think yun yung pinaka nagdadala eh. Parang when they join, ripple effect siya eh. You know, invite your friends, blah, blah, blah. Word of mouth. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for answering. So, SEC yung answer doon. They're not regulated by DOI or BSP yet. Maybe it's a BSP in time, but
Yeah.
SEC. So you can freely check information if you're really hesitant, no? Parang meron kayong kaba-kaba, pwede nyo i-check. Itong question naman to, top question din to. Pero bilisan na lang natin. No? Storage fees daw. Huwag niyo na daw ibalik. Sabi, baka lang may idea kayo, gusto niyo share, like, comment doon.
Yeah,
I think
know.
that's.
Go ahead, Kevin. Sige.
No, I think I was pointing to Kara nga eh. We were talking about the storage fees nga. Kasi if you remember, we removed any copy around storage fees like 4 months ago. It's really fascinating to us why people still remember that merong storage fees even with the new users. Ano. So I'll let Kara answer the ano.
Yeah, we hear you. We have no plans of reinstating the storage fee anytime soon.
Sorry, to clarify that, like, yet or no plans at all talaga? Or until further notice?
Yeah, no plans at all. This is one of the key learnings rin, no, na parang there are, you already have naman a profit margin, right, on the fuel. So parang that rin, and what we also saw nga, for most people naman, it's just a source of anxiety. And they don't really store fuel for that long to make it something na talagang worthwhile to also have. Because as I've said, right, the bigger part of our market are not the speculators na talagang nagsi 600 liters, right? There. And I also said, I want to caution people who want to do that because especially at this price, right? Kung ako sa inyo, manigurado na kayo, right? Buy, before a price increase, when price increase, gamitin mo, siguradong savings ka na, di ba? Now, kung tataya ka ng 600 liters, ano ba ang, how many do you consume every week? Kung 50 liters ka every week, di halang parang halos 3 buwan ka. Medyo mahaba-haba ang 3 buwan, pwedeng maraming mangyari dyan.
Pwede mo ba na?
Oo, pwedeng mo pa. Kumbaga yan, as I've said, we want to be transparent naman. We parang signal to people na, look, prices are volatile, right? Kung gusto mo pa rin tumaya, di ikaw na yun. But again, at your own risk. So itong storage fee naman, parang kung lalampas ng 3 months, yun yung parang dating na-imagine namin na mangyayari. Pero hindi rin siya nangyayari na talagang ganun karami. Parang why put it back if it just creates a lot of anxiety on something that doesn't really happen. No.
All right. So good news to sa mga nanonood ngayon.
Yeah.
Wala na talaga. Wala na storage fees. So, actually, pag pinag-uusapan namin yan sa community, parang iniisip ko, kahit nga mag 600 liters ka, kung meron man na storage fees, hindi mo siya ramdam. With the savings that you had, like, ako nabili ko like 52 pesos o 54 pesos. And right now, how much yung gasolina? Almost, labas ka, nasa 70 plus na, di ba? Parang it doesn't matter anymore. So, nagigets mo yun. Pero definitely, it's a good news. Good news that kung wala na talaga. So, buying factor. Last na lang talaga. So, baka magtampo yung nagtanong nito eh. Kasi, I think clear naman na pwede kang bumili sa malayo. No? Sa tanong niya, okay lang po ba sa inyo na bumili ako sa malayo kung saan mas mura tapos magkakarga na lang ako ng marami then redeem sa ibang station? Will I be violating any rules? I think that's the essence of Pricelocq ngayon.
It's not so much rules. It's we also need to work kasi with the oil company partners, right? And there are reasons why prices are different in each area. It's a combination of logistics and just general competition in the area. So we also want to keep some, parang I guess, stability in the market na hindi masyadong magkagulo-gulo. So on that end, we have updated the app such that in terms of your initial purchase, it would be the stations that are nearest to you. And this has been, parang a long debate. But kasi ang goal natin is maging sustainable eh. And if this happens kasi, actually some of those areas, the station sobrang liit na ng margin na hindi rin siya sustainable. I guess there are some competitors there who have a different objective, maybe market share or some other reason. So yeah, unfortunately yan, wala pa kami nahanap na solusyon na kumbaga maibigay. Tingnan natin in the future what happens to the market, no? But at the moment, it's been difficult negotiating din with the dealers. Because mangyayari dyan, yung mga dealers na yun, na let's say, di ba, bumili ka sa mura tapos nag-redeem ka doon sa mas mahal. Di mas konti yung kikitain ng dealer na yun, di ba? And then kung konti yung kinikita nila, ang mangyayari, they're just gonna say, I won't be a redemption station anymore. Dahil hindi naman ako kumikita dito. So mangyayari, mawawalan tayo ng mga outlet na pwede kang mag-redeem. So I guess that's what I meant by we need to balance the ecosystem there somehow. Parang I guess in blockchain din and mga tech, diba? There's a balance that you need to have.
Correct.
Para all stakeholders are happy. Yeah.
Nice. Oo nga, kasi trending talaga yung trending talaga yung sa Carmona. Like, kanta.
Carmona.
Like, in my case, I think 35-minute drive muna akong Carmona. Parang after, pag mauubos na yung gasoline na binili ko, I mean, okay lang ako pumunta dun tapos bili ako ng medyo mas marami para at least after nun, like I can gas up na lang anywhere I want.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Sobrang amazing lang talaga ng ganung concept. Kasi dati, di ba, ang problema mo, parang every time na pupunta ka sa gasoline station na mura, yun lang yung opportunity mo to save eh. Ang problema po, medyo malayo siya, syempre. And you have to go there every time. But right now, like, you can strategically plan your trip na lang.
Yeah. I guess in that sense, sorry, what I was answering earlier, yung mga initial yung mga initial gas up, right? With this one, technically you can do that. It's something that we will continuously review from a standpoint of trying to balance the ecosystem. Syempre, if you're gonna go there, you're gonna drive, you're gonna use up fuel na rin, di ba? So you have to calculate that in your
Actually, I did.
In your case,
yung matitipid ko, like 300 liters bibili mo.
So I guess if you have the capital, it makes sense, right? So yun lang, I guess, again, to be transparent, right? I mean, that's our goal naman, is to be transparent to our users. That's something at the moment na people can do. And then we'll see what happens, right? Over time. Baka kasi yung pinagpakakarga ay where you redeem, baka nga mawala yung stasyon na yun, mayroon na, di ba?
Yeah. And to be fair din naman, like, even if hindi ko gawin yun, sa Anabu kasi, mura pa din naman siya. Hindi naman siya yung katulad sa ibang brand na like 70 plus na. If I buy at, like say 64 or 63 pesos, 65, sulit pa din siya versus other brands na umabot na ng 675 pesos, 74. Being able to lock more than what you can, like, yung allowed lang sa storage ng kotse mo, it's already a game changer.
Yeah. Another thing pala, sorry, maiba lang usapan, hindi natin na-cover, no? But ang isang potential impact din, ang source ng price is yung taxes. So
Yeah.
I think people should really watch out what the government plans to do in terms of the taxes. And that will affect prices.
Excise tax also. Parang gusto po sa
So excise tax and value-added tax, yeah. So those two things. No? Pag na-suspend yan, of course, right? Then ibang usapan there. So people shouldn't really, again, store such a long period of time because maraming pwedeng mangyari in between there. No? Pero kung if you could take the risk, like, actually, people should do that pag yung 20 pesos or 30 pesos, kumbaga yung ano, di ba? So yung mga bumili ng mga a year and a half ago, talagang laki na ng savings nila, no? Na talagang doon ka tingin dapat ano ba tawag yung mag-imbak, no?
That's true. All right.
Yeah.
So I think we've already covered most of our frequently asked questions. Thank you very much, guys, for your time. Sir Mark, Sir Kevin, Ms. Cara. Any final message sa mga community members natin?
Cara, Kevin, kayo muna.
Yeah. So thank you so much for the support. We noticed actually, be transparent. Medyo yung CS namin punong-puno sila na ma-increase ngayon. And I think kung wala yung community, mas puno yung magiging increase namin. So thank you so much for everyone that has been answering each and everyone's questions. And I really appreciate the activeness of the group and the whole vibe that the group is actually trying to share to everyone. It's a very friendly community. We really appreciate all the feedback that we are getting from you guys. And to be honest with you guys, sa inyo din magagaling yung mga features na gagawin namin in the future. So we definitely hear you. And siguro with that, I'd like to end I think bukas may pa-surpresa tayo, no, Mark?
Yeah.
Ayan na.
So should we ano ngayon, or what do you think?
Yeah, okay, that's okay.
So tomorrow, team, we're not gonna implement the increases in fuel prices.
Wow.
So we have 24 hours, or we will implement the increases sa March 16th pa.
Wow,
So
okay. Nice.
for the luck users, hopefully you could secure your inventory again at your own risk. So that's for until March 16 ng 6 a.m. Sige, si Cara naman.
Yeah. Ako personally, Tim, thank you for arranging this call, and then for nakikita ko din kasi transparent part ako nung group na yun. I'm part of that community. And when I see your answers, parang kinikilig ako na yes, he understands us. And you're not the only one eh. So I really appreciate the feedback and the support that you've been getting from the community. Yun na din yung nagiging research pool namin for any user experience that we should improve. So we're very open to feedback, and then thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries. Personally, like, of course, speaking on behalf of the community, I'd also like to thank Pricelocq. Kasi, I mean, hindi naman mag-grow exponentially yung community if there's nothing unique, di ba, the proposition that it offers. And personally, like being able to save this much, sobrang laking bagay din sa amin. Especially, ako sasakyan ko person in lakas sa gasolina, Fortuner. So, 7 to 10 kilometers per liter lang yun. So, having this kind of app, mas alam ko na susulit ko talaga yung pera ko eh. So, yeah, thank you very much as well.
Ako naman siguro simple lang, pasalamat sa tiwala. I mean, maraming tanong tungkol doon, di ba? And at the end of the day, I'd like to be able to put this on a blockchain and find more ways, right, to instill that confidence. But I want to reassure everyone that for me, night in, night out, right, that's what I'm thinking of, ensuring that we are constantly managing our risk that we can deliver. And mukhang over the years naman, it has panned out in that sense. So I'm, again, really thankful. As I want to echo what Cara said. Thanks, Tim, for organizing this and sharing, sort of, I guess, the answers that we have also provided. I want to echo Kevin's message earlier. We are growing. And this is also another way, right, to learn more about what we do. It's
Join us.
Masaya, masaya.
because it's really like a different frontier, right? And we want to grow globally. Something that's really invented from the Philippines. One of my vision here is I want to make the Philippines proud, right? Na talagang Pinoy kaya din. Kaya natin gumawa ng isang produkto na talagang pwede lumaki sa ibang bansa. And so with that, I'm really hoping that we continuously get your ideas on how we can make the app better, stickier. We know naman na itong situation right now is unprecedented, right? So we're happy that we're able to provide this much value, but ang oil price naman, again, volatile. So, but to recap that vision, it's really anything to do with mobility. Right. At the end of the day, we as humans, right, we have that desire to be mobile. Kailangan tayong gumagalaw talaga.
Sure.
So happy to hear your thoughts and ideas, and thank you once again for the support.
No problem. Thank you din for Pricelocq team. Kung wala kayo, wala kaming mga savings ngayon. So, salamat,
Thank you.
salamat. All right, so I think that concludes our interview with Pricelocq team. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. And of course, kung wala pa kayong Pricelocq account, download nyo sa App Store, Play Store, and Huawei Gallery. Available naman siya. And hopefully, sana magka-referral program daw kayo. Sabi, suggestion lang daw. In time.
In time, yeah.
Right. So, yeah,
Okay.
drive safe sa mga kamotorista natin. Buy fuel smarter with Pricelocq. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Sige.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.